Hello, subscribers. James Stevenson here with your weekly subscriber exclusive episode of James's Gems of the Week, the series in which I, James Stevenson, walk you through all the posts I liked on X and talk about why I liked them. Loki has called in sick this weekend. We took him to the vet to get some vaccinations, and he is feeling drowsy enough to warrant staying in one of his other beds instead of joining me in the recording studio of my home, such as it is. So, empty Loki cam today, but for a good reason. Coworker called in sick. Here's where we left off last week. It's Warren Redlick chasing dreams, showing the video of what it would have been like to experience this earthquake from 100 stories above street level, hanging out by the pool, you know. Yeah. So here's the next post that I liked from Farzad. Replying to me, most people boycotting Tesla barely know how to use a phone. I made a video about this, so you've already heard my thoughts on that topic. If not, go check out that video. Here's one from Roger Rush, who speaks English and German pretty well. I asked people for robust proof for their claims that Elon was a Nazi/fascist and let them 9 days to answer. Result, nothing. Yeah, nothing but, raising your hand while speaking publicly, which lots of public speakers do. And you've found, I'm sure by now, plenty of memes showing leaders of other political parties raising their hand in similar fashion. So that's what this whole thread was about, him trying to challenge people. Hey, I know it's popular these days in some circles to say that Elon Musk is a Nazi, but there isn't any evidence to support that. Unless there is, anybody got any? No, nobody has any. One of my favorite things to point out is all 100% of Elon Musk's children have Jewish mothers. Does that sound like an anti-Semite at work to you, friends? Engage your brain. Think through these topics. Like another one was, Elon Musk has met 3 times with Benjamin Netanyahu in the past 2 years. He's the Prime Minister of Israel. He has a whole Israeli defense secret service working for him. Do you think there's any chance they would have let him meet 3 times with an anti-Semite? Over the past 2 years? It seems unlikely. Here's one from David that I liked at DS Davies 1. A woman approached me outside the supermarket today. She said, "Oh, I thought you were putting all your food on the engine." I replied, "This car doesn't have an engine." She turned to her husband and said, that car's so cool. It doesn't have an engine, you just have to feed it." We all laughed, and off they went. 12,000 likes on that post. You just have to feed it. That's funny. Just feed it some groceries, and it'll keep going. It's kind of like that. Here's one from Rob Ford at RobFord37. This X eats salad too. Just pop it in the Mr. Fusion. Yeah, it's the out of gas Model X with the apparatus and accoutrement of the DeLorean time machine. You see the TMC on the back. Before Tesla changed their name to just Tesla, they had been Tesla Motors or Tesla Motors Corporation, which you could have abbreviated TMC. They dropped the motors because Tesla makes more than just cars. They also make solar and batteries and soon to be robots, etc. Lots of stuff. Software, merchandise, plenty of things coming from Tesla besides just vehicles that have electric motors. So, cool video there. Here's one from Matt Smith. Wow, guys, they did it. They took down Tesla. Elon is now the world's poorest man. The Nazis have been removed from power and fascism is over. We got more Nazis in this video this week. Let's hope we don't have a whole lot more of that left to go in the video. I did give this one a like, though, because Yeah, that's what the Tesla takedown protesters were hoping would happen the day after their protest, that the world would be forever changed. This was Elon Musk retweeting the interesting, he thought, observation that these protesters didn't even know what their protest chants were without cheat sheets to help tell them what they were supposed to be chanting. I made a separate video about that. Go check that out if you want more info on that. Here's one from Futuraza, at Futuraza. This is Brian White. The Earth is flat. Watch the video. You can pretend it's just entertainment and no one takes it seriously, but if you're making people so dumb that they choose a less safe car because of it, that's not good. That's not good, friends. Trusting Elon is Looney Tunes. Watch the video. Yeah. So that's somebody's protest sign, I guess. There are some flat earthers out there, folks. There are people who believe stuff that just ain't so. And we're not going to be able to educate them all. So some of them will just keep believing that the Earth is flat. Here's Elon replying to Farzad. Let's get the context before we read the rest. Farzad said, by now, if you don't believe Tesla will achieve unsupervised level 4 self-driving, you are simply ignoring the inevitable. However, the real separation isn't Tesla achieving level 4, it's the fact Tesla can manufacture 2 to 3 million cars per year that are able to do this at less than $30,000 per unit cost of goods sold. There will literally be Teslas everywhere, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop it. Good luck. Retweeting Sawyer Merritt, quoting David Faber on CNBC earlier in the day, just saying nice stuff about FSD. You can read the quote here if you want. He's impressed by not having to touch the steering wheel and FSD doing all the driving for him. I have heard similar reports from others in New York City who have good things to say about how much better FSD has gotten. Elon replied, exactly. We could have done a neighborhood-by-neighborhood handcrafted solution with high-resolution maps and expensive sensors much sooner, but that doesn't scale well and gets destroyed by real-world AI and cameras. Why do the more expensive solution at all if you know years from now you're going to have to obsolete it to replace it with something that doesn't cost as much? Why not just figure out how to do the approach that doesn't cost as much? That's what Tesla did while everybody else was sticking with their LiDAR and high-resolution maps. Yes, they were able to get to market first with something, but their something still needs lots of safety drivers, human safety drivers, both physically in meat space and in the virtual space. To watch over their fleets and make sure they don't get stuck or go astray. So I liked all those posts. Here's one from Stephen Mark Ryan. This is my scientific estimate for Tesla revenue over the next decade. So there you go. You just take the chart and then you squish it down and you put it next to the chart. And that's what it's going to look like. It'll look like that before much longer. All right, so that was funny. Here's one from Yana the Universe. Not only did I like this post, I also reposted it myself. So it's a long thread full of good visuals and country-by-country updates on how EV sales and adoption is doing worldwide as of the year ended 2024. It took a lot of research for Jan here to compile all that data, representing 99.7% of all the world's EV sales in 12 graphs. So go check that out. It's on my timeline as well as on the timeline of @the-EV-Universe. If you're interested to go scroll through it and you haven't done that already. For those of you who have, I will keep the show moving by showing you this post from Jacob at @JCub Hilton. We challenged a Ferrari to race us in the Cybertruck. Your truck will smoke it, he said.
Okay, have a good one, man. That's awesome.
You're drunk or smoking? Bro, you're in a Ferrari.
Full carbon fiber Ferrari, bro.
Yeah.
Let's see if this Ferrari guy wants to race. Hey man, would you want to race?
You'll smoke it.
You think so?
Sure.
That thing looks insane.
It's full carbon body, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, your truck will smoke it.
This isn't ours, we're on a demo drive right now. So no? Okay, have a good one, man.
There you go. That's pretty funny interaction. The guy driving the all carbon fiber body Ferrari won't even try to race the test drive Cyberbeast, I hope, is what they were in. That's the only one that would have a chance at taking down that Ferrari, I think, is the Cyberbeast. You need the 3 motors to do 2.5 seconds. But yeah, the Cybertruck would smoke it off the line to 60 or whatever. The Ferrari would do a lot better on the oval. If you had a big, high-speed oval ring track, the Ferrari would be lapping the Cybertruck once it got to its, or near its top speed, which is much higher than the Cybertruck's. I want to say the Cybertruck tops out around 160 or something. That Ferrari would go way faster than 160. Here's another one from Jan. BMW, behold, our cars now drive themselves 1 mile from the factory. We only had to install exterior LiDAR, use digital environmental models, motion planners, etc. Tesla? Oh, we only pushed a software update and all Teslas started doing it with no extra effort. Yeah. There was one a few years ago, I remember, I think it was Mercedes-Benz, had a parking garage, probably in Germany, where they had figured out how to make cars park themselves in the parking garage. So instead of that parking garage needing valet parking service, if you had a Mercedes-Benz, you could just send it in there. But to do it, they had to run wires to every space in the parking garage and exhaustively map the whole parking garage so that they could program Mercedes-Benz cars to go park. Let me know if I'm remembering that story wrong. That is how I remember it. So I'll stick with it unless corrected by somebody who remembers better than I do. Here's one from Piers Morgan at Piers Morgan. If these morons keep attacking Teslas, I may buy one. At the height of the people attacking Teslas craze, I think enough people are getting charged with terrorism now that the popularity of terrorizing people who own Teslas is falling rapidly. Let's hope. Here's somebody else who retweeted Sawyer Merritt's post that we saw earlier. Brad Gerstner at AltCap, who said, Tesla FSD is pure magic and transformed how I drive. All this misdirected hate towards Tesla and Elon Musk sadly obscures the fact that FSD makes humans more productive, more safe, and happier. Mobility will change more in the next 2 years than in the last 100. Tagging Jim Cramer, who was on the show with David Faber, if you go watch the video clip. That's who Faber was talking to. Here's one from Futurama King. Important day in history. Only 2 likes on this post. Let's check it out. Oh, it was me saying Happy New Month on April Fool's Day, the 1st of April. 7 years ago, Elon Musk fooled a lot of people, including stockholders and Wall Street analysts, unfortunately, with this absolutely legendary 3-tweet thread. If you never saw it, there it is. Maybe, well, you still can't see it, probably, unless you have a giant screen TV pulled up in front of you. But there are 3 tweets there if you go find this post and read it. The day bankrupt and so bankrupt you can't believe it were coined. Still relevant. Those came from Elon Musk. That's his bankrupt sign here. And that's a fun way to make fun of people who think Tesla is going bankrupt, is to spell the word bankrupt, as Elon did on his his sign, passed out, with tears streaming down his face. Here's another one from Farzad. He is racking them up this week. I was working at Tesla at the time that those April Fool's tweets went out in that 3-tweet thread. And I vividly remember the insane dichotomy. People within Tesla were laughing. People outside of Tesla were in an outright panic. Good times. That's a funny recollection from somebody with an interesting perspective inside the company. I replied, I have it on good authority that people working in Tesla's investor relations office were not laughing. If you can't figure out who told me that story, you can figure out who told me that story. It was Martin Viecha, Tesla's head of investor relations, who had only just started like earlier that year, I guess. That's probably available on LinkedIn if you want to go find Martin Viecha's LinkedIn profile or something. I think people in the supply chain world have a very different sense of humor, LOL, Farzad replying. Maybe that's why it took the people in supply chain so much longer than I thought it would to start selling Tesla tequila. Your CEO said, hey, we should be selling tequila, Tesla tequila. And it took them 3 years, I think. Farzad replying, yeah, because they drank it all. Guys, we gotta sell some of these to actual customers. You can't drink all the tequila. But now, as I switch back to my intro screen, you can see over my shoulders here on the top shelves of both of these, I've got an empty one over here. Over here, that's the empty one. I've got a full one over here. And now I have given hand signals to my device. So now I have to make sure it knows to zoom back out again. Zoom back out, OBSBot. Am I not doing this right? Zoom out, OBSBot. I'll figure it out. All right, I figured it out. This OBSBot is a lot of fun. So it's you do this if you want to zoom in, and you do this if you want to zoom out. You do this if you want to zoom out. Now it's zoomed out too far. So now I have to go to my OBSBot menu in OBS Studio, go to Properties, go to Configure Video, go to Camera Control, and go to Zoom, and put it back on 9, like I always do, and hit Apply, and OK again. And now we're back to the regular zoom. So that's why I don't leave the Share Desktop menu very often, or use hand signals very often, because it's easy to mess yourself up. Just checking to make sure I am recording and I didn't leave it paused. All right. So that was that. Here's one from Nick Sorter at Nick Sorter. So let me get this straight. President Joe Biden can grant legal status unilaterally, but President Trump can't revoke it unilaterally. Make it make sense. This is a reply to Bill Malugin saying a federal judge in San Francisco has blocked the Trump administration from ending temporary protected status for 350,000 Venezuelans who I assume entered the U.S. illegally. For now, their work permits and protection from removal was set to be terminated next week. All right, so yeah, this reply made more sense to me and most people than the original post from Bill Malugin. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good ratio there for being a reply. It's hard to get people to like replies. It's easy to get people to like original posts. Here's one from Joe Tegmeyer that I liked. He is at Joe Tegmeyer with a T in the middle on X, replying to Drive Tesla Canada at Drive Tesla CA. First look at Tesla's plans for a 120 stall wireless EV charging station for Cybercab with 2 question marks and an exclamation point. That's an interrobang followed by a question mark. If you don't know what an interrobang is, It's what you call it when you put an exclamation point after a question mark. It has a name. So Drive Tesla Canada was confused, and Joe Tegmeyer helped everybody out by saying, hey, I recognize that floor plan. That's the parking garage that's already been built behind Tesla's Gigafactory in Austin. I've been flying drones over it for years, so I remember what it looks like. And that's where the 120 stall wireless EV charging station is going. This will be the hub for Tesla's Austin service anytime cybercabs run low on battery. They will drive back here and recharge wirelessly, or maybe Tesla will add more at other strategic locations at the other extreme corners of Austin. I would think probably the north side and the west side would make sense because this factory is kind of on the east side of town at the south end. So that was a good reply with context for folks that a lot of people liked. Here's one from Romaine Edwin, at Romaine Edwin on X. In front of Giga Berlin today, big posters listing dozens of Tesla employee benefits if you work at Giga 4 in Grünheide, Germany, outside of Berlin in the Brandenburg area, I guess. See follow-up post for closer pictures of the posters, but here's what they set out. The HR team, I guess, trying to help with recruitment efforts. I did the math this morning, and I personally saved 200 euros a month from free charging alone. That's a good benefit if you drive an EV. Free fuel, that's good stuff. So here's a list of all the fun benefits you get if you work at Giga 4, and it's in German. So if you speak German, then you know what this stuff says. What I found interesting on this slide was that if the central logo covered one of these, they repeated it elsewhere on the page so you could see it without the logo being covered. So there's a sky here and there's a sky here. There's an Expedia here and there's an Expedia here. There's Zalando here and a Zalando here, and there's a sky here and a sky here. Yeah. Oh, a rebuy. Sorry. Or a my muesli. Yeah, there you go. So I would have just not put them here and then not had anybody accuse me of doubling up on some of those, but that's a quibble. I like quibbling. It's one of my favorite pastimes. Here's one from Warren Redlick at WR4NYGov. Democrats will look back on the 4 years of Dementia Joe and realize their greatest mistake. Don't mess with Elon. Don't mess with Texas. Don't mess with Elon. They could have invited Tesla to the EV Summit, supported Tesla during COVID instead of trying to shut down Fremont, not targeted him with anti-billionaire hate rhetoric, as we saw from Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Robert Reich. They were going after Elon Musk by name, hard, in the public media, unprovoked. He was not picking fights with them. They were picking fights with him for no good reason apart from pandering and pedagoguery. Not target him with anti-billionaire hate rhetoric, but instead they poked the bear. They deleted a terabyte of financial data to cover their crimes, but they don't understand technology. So we recovered it. The United States Institute of Peace was funding the Taliban and Iraqi leaders, and they tried to hide the evidence, but Elon Musk's young team of smart computer programmers were able to undelete the files. If you don't know what you're doing when you delete stuff, other people can recover it using recovery technology. You just look at the drive and you ask it, hey, what was here before? And then it tells you, because you can still see on the disk drive all the ones and zeros that didn't get overwritten. If it doesn't get overwritten, then it's still there. It hasn't actually been deleted when you drop it in the recycle bin. Here's one from Elon Musk. Much has happened since then. He got 1,000 likes on that. Oh, it's the one we saw at the beginning of the episode. The 7-year anniversary to Elon's April Fool's Day prank. He has thought better of trying to prank people similarly since then. I think it was in a court case. If not, it should have been. He's been in court enough times that he's a little more careful these days than he used to be. I know some of you who have only been following him for a year or two think that's impossible and can't be true, but it is true that he was more reckless with his tweets years ago than he is today. Lars, at Lars Moravi, did we make AFV? What are we talking about here? It's Holmar's catalog at Holmar's blog, with Tesla VP Lars Moravi getting pranked by his wife on America's Funniest Home Videos. Yeah, let's take a look at this. Yeah, all right. So that's fun. That was Lars. I couldn't tell when I first saw it whether that was actually Lars or not, but they got him. Got him good. Here's Matt Smith replying to somebody. Let's check it out. It's an update from S.E. Robinson Jr. Stephen E. Robinson Jr. Posted, SpaceX president and COO Gwynne Shotwell has become a billionaire with a net worth of $1.2 billion, driven by her 0.3% stake in the company. SpaceX reached a $350 billion valuation in December 2024 after a sale of insider shares. So there you go. Congratulations, Gwynne Shotwell. You've been COO at SpaceX, running day-to-day for that whole company for a long time. Matt Smith replying, that woman deserves every penny she's earned. Rockstar. Yeah, Gwynne Shotwell totally deserves to be a billionaire. There's a lot of billionaires who don't deserve it as much as Gwynne Shotwell does for doing great work, making a very valuable company. So that makes sense. Here's one from Sawyer Merritt at Sawyer Merritt News. Tesla is planning on building a new supercharger in New Mexico with a cyber canopy that includes solar and RGB lighting, not RBG lighting. Unless that's a different thing, let me know in the comments below if RBG is different from RGB. The canopy will have a light design that looks like the front light bar on the Cybertruck. Check it out. That's a cool design for a solar array canopy to provide shade for the folks who are recharging at noon at this supercharger station. And there's also some fun hidden stuff in the design that we can see later if I liked it. I think they hid a hedgehog in the overhead lighting. Yes, hedgehog, to be specific. Here's one from Cern Basher at Cern Basher News. Production shutdown math 101. In Q4, Tesla produced about 460,000 vehicles. In a 90-day quarter, that's an average of 5,111 vehicles made per day. Enter Q1, and they shut down production of the Model Y for about 3 weeks in order to change over the manufacturing lines to the new, refreshed Model Y. This means that you're no longer making 5,111 vehicles per day for 21 days. Production might have declined to about 1,500 per day, red line in the chart. If Tesla, after the 3-week shutdown, could have immediately ramped up production again, orange line, they could have reached the 5,111 daily rate again, but the reality is probably more like the red line, where production ramps up again over a couple of weeks. It may not be so linear, so if we look at what the production capacity for Q1 really was, we see this, 460,000 if production had continued at the same pace as Q4, 385 if production could have instantly ramped back up to the prior average daily rate of 5,111, 362 if production ramps up over a 2-week period, and this compares well to the actual production number reported of 362, 615. Yeah, I mean, I would have guessed that what you would see is an S-curve following the shutdown. So not linear and not this crazy ramp. Like this slower ramp makes more sense. But I mean, that's why it's called ramping up. After you do a refresh, your weekly output is going to be very low for the first week because you got to coordinate all of your supplier parts logistics. You have to get the deliveries just in time to your dock so that you don't have way too much of any particular part and so that you don't run out of any part. So you need to do that carefully to get back up to that regular weekly production rate. And that's why it takes a while. That plus trying to work out bottlenecks in the line. If you've got stations that aren't capable of outputting 5,111 units per week, you got to attack that problem and figure out, okay, how do we speed up this station? So good post there from CERN. Here's one from Just a Dude at J Mayer DVM. Let's get the context here. Oh, this is just me telling people deliveries are out and they're very low as expected. Here's a screenshot. Tesla's estimated $775 million energy storage gross profit in Q1 2025 equates to the gross profit from approximately 86,000 to 93,000 vehicle sales, depending on whether regulatory credits are included. Using the more conservative figure with credits, more typical in Tesla's reporting, it's roughly 86,000 cars. This highlights how energy storage is becoming a substantial profit driver, rivaling a significant chunk of Tesla's auto business. So, if you add 86,000, well, that's not really the right math, because in the prior year, same quarter, there was a Tesla energy business. It's just increased a lot. So if you add 50,000 to the number Tesla reported, it would be more palatable. What this guy is saying is, yeah, you got to use those batteries for something. You can put them in battery packs that go into cars that you sell, or you can put them into mega packs and sell those to utilities to be their backup storage grid scale solution, right? So you just make a decision about which one of those you think is going to be more profitable to do if you're Tesla. And these days, what they're telling us is it's more profitable to put them into mega packs and work through this backlog we have of all these electric companies that want to have battery storage at scale. Here's one from Max at M. DeZegger on X. This is the guy who runs the supercharger program. We want to build a few superchargers cool enough to be worthy of the trip itself. Wish we could have kept it under wraps for longer, but submittal was needed for planning approval, and we can't hide anything from Marco RPI1. If you're not following this account, and if superchargers are of interest to you, like where they're building new ones and what they're going to look like, etc., that's the account you want to follow. Marco RP I1 is an account with 7,000 followers, including, I know, Ryan McCaffrey, because Ryan McCaffrey mentions information published by Marco RP quite often on his weekly recap show. Sawyer replied, "It looks awesome. Love the hedgehog in the canopy. You can't quite tell that it's a hedgehog unless you tilt your head enough and you remember what the haha yes hedgehog looks like, and that's it." So from your car, if you were to look up, that's what you would see while charging, because you got to back your car in, because that was the only way Elon Musk could park his car in his garage where he lived in Beverly Hills, or I think, wherever Gene Wilder's house was, one of those 5 houses Elon owned at the time that he was actually living in. That was the only place on the car that he could charge, was that one corner. And every Tesla since has had the charge port in the driver rear corner of the vehicle. for that reason. And that's it. That's the last post that I liked. I didn't like any posts today, or yesterday, or the day before. Can that be right? Wow, I have been on a like strike, I guess. All right, there you go. That's the video for this week. I would normally check in with Loki now, but he is still snoozing in another room. So I will just use this time to remind you to like this post if you liked the post. That's the heart. If you're watching me on the subscribers only post on X, it's the thumbs up. If you're watching me from your Patreon link to YouTube to watch the video there, or if you just found it on YouTube. I don't know how you would find it on YouTube, though, because it's an unlisted video, exclusive for you subscribers. And special shout out to my two executive producers, Kathy Kitchler and Rebellionaire.com, and I'll see you in the next one.